All right, we're just getting everything set up, making sure technology is working and our friend today as we get ready for the first day of the Path to Presence retreat. Give me one moment to make sure it's working. Technology is working and our friend today. Okay, there we go. Now we're live in both Zoom land and in the Facebook, which you can join either one. Hopefully this enables me to see any chats or comments that you might have. Feel free to say hi if you're joining in via Facebook, because I can never quite see who's joining in. And sometimes there's a little delay, but I'll always circle back and answer your question. So welcome to the first day of the Path to Presence retreat. So glad you guys are all here with me. Over the next 5 days, we'll be meeting at this time every morning. Without fail, every retreat, there are multiple people who miss the time zone. So if that's you and you're catching a replay, note the time. It's 8:30 Eastern time. And we'll be meeting for around 40 minutes. I tried to do 30 in the past and I just can't. So 45 is the latest I like to go. And today we'll be talking all about why it's hard to make a meditation practice stick, why you might be here in this retreat, and we'll do a little bit of debunking of some meditation myths. I'll try to give you my very brief intro of the retreat so you know what to expect here. Basically, the number one issue folks identify with as a struggle in meditation practice is usually consistency. Developing a practice that actually sticks can be a challenge. And I just had a question a moment ago in Zoom land, as I'm going to affectionately call it, about if they're in the right place if you do have a daily meditation practice. And I would say yes, even if you have managed to have an effective practice daily or been meditating for a long time. What I like to teach in this retreat that I think is a little different is how to tailor the meditation practice so it works for you right now in your life. And of course, our lives and ourselves are always changing. So this is a strategy that I hope you can use to reassess your practice and kind of really work on the practice. A lot of teaching meditation and meditation retreats is about the content and the meditation, not necessarily as the practice and how it integrates with your life and as a habit, for example. So over the next 5 days, we'll be mainly looking at 5 questions or 5 strategies to look a little deeper at that, to help you become more aware of the form and function of your practice and your practice as a habit, and to sort of tailor it to suit you. And to suit you where you're at now, knowing that there will be change and that you might, I have people come to do the retreat once a year, so to kind of reassess sometimes as well. Of course, it's going to take more than 5 days to get a meditation practice that lasts a lifetime, but this is a strategy that you can use whenever you need to. And so the flow of each sessions will start with a brief check-in, maybe an overview of what we did the day before, a review of some homework. There is homework. It is optional. Depends on how much you want to get put into it and get out of it. And then I'll present the topic of the day, provide some tips and some insights. And then, of course, we'll practice sitting together, because it's not a meditation retreat if we're not sitting and doing the meditation part. And this is also to get you in the habit of sitting daily and showing up, and also having some community to be accountable for. So I also have a workbook. I do send out quite a bit of communication. If you are signed up through the link, I try to send out an email every morning as a reminder, because folks seem to need that. And in those emails, you should have gotten a link for the workbook as well. So if you're watching this now and you haven't gotten the workbook, check to see if you're signed up. And if not, you can message me. I was just saying as well, I also try to be available to everyone. People who have joined the Facebook group, I usually go through and send a personal message, a little welcome, so that you know that I am available during the time of the retreat if you have questions or need something. People who joined a while ago, I may not have messaged you because it's hard to get to everybody. So anyway, check your emails, look for, scam or promotions or those kinds of things, as it can get filtered out, and feel free to add my my email to the list so that it doesn't get filtered out. So every morning you'll get the reminder, and there'll be a link to the replay. Replays will also live inside the Facebook group. There are these guides. So there's this guide 4, there's kind of, I can organize it. I'll put the replay in there right away, and then there'll be some homework in guide 5, sorry. And the homework is good to do for yourself, but also for developing that sense of community and that accountability that really helps so much with motivation. I do have giveaways. I have a journal you can use. That'll be on day 3. And I have a full scholarship to my 6-week meditation program on day 4. And day 5, you can win a bundle of 2 other meditation programs with Circle and Bloom. And basically, I choose these giveaways, the winners for the giveaways at random from those who either comment or show up consistently or do the homework. I make a little list and then do a randomized giveaway because it's a lot of pressure for me to choose. I want everyone to win, and hopefully just showing up here is enough of a gift. Your presence is the present. But there's a little extra motivation to keep you showing up in yourself there. Oh, Santa Claus uses the same strategy. Yes. If you're naughty or nice. I need elves though, I think. So also let me share my screen a little bit here. So here is what the workbook looks like if you have or haven't gotten this. Inside the workbook is a little bit of the schedule and a little bit of information, and then each one we kind of have several questions on why, things you can look at for after the session. Usually there's about 2 pages for each one. So I have this beautiful looking workbook, and then I have a easily printable one as well. Both of those are available. And then I also wanted to let you know that there will be some bonus days. So we're 5 days every morning at 8:30 Eastern time. And then there's a bonus day on Saturday that's just a live Q&A. I made it an hour later just so I could sleep in. It's got to work for me. And then on Monday, there's a follow-up that asks why not, and really looks at overcoming obstacles. And that Monday 1 o'clock time is also a time I usually go live and share a meditation inside my Seaside Meditation Facebook group. So that's really the whole schedule. And the big results for this week is to build a meditation practice that sticks, and to make a concrete plan to get started on this path, or if you're already practicing, to further tailor and make the meditation practice personal and meaningful and more adaptable to your current life. And if you have questions, feel free to drop them in any of the comments at any time, and I'll take little breaks to pause and see if there are questions. So my own journey, you may or may not have read in very briefness, is I was first introduced to meditation as a part of yoga and Tai Chi when I was around 15, which is just around 30 years ago. So now you know how old I am as well. And so it was a part of mindful movement when I first started to experience or experiment with meditation. Now, of course, I didn't start meditating consistently for quite a long time later, maybe when I was around 30 or so, and I was studying shiatsu, which is like acupressure kind of body work using the same points as acupuncture, which is what I do now. But when I was studying my shiatsu degree and living in Australia, my course had us do a lot of chi cultivation, a lot of like internal exercise is another thing they talked about. So we were encouraged to have a practice, a movement practice and a mindfulness practice, and to write about it and reflect on it as part of the study. So it actually really helped me to develop a practice and to have that accountability. And at that time, I practiced for like an hour and a half, movement, all kinds, had this very long, elaborate morning routine, which is obviously not very sustainable long-term. Fast forward years later, I was in graduate school and very busy, taking board exams for acupuncture, kind of stressed, and it was hard to practice then. Although I did teach some meditation for students and staff and people in the school community then. And I did a lot of silent retreats, Vipassana retreats, Insight Meditation Center. And on these retreats, they would be great and I would be motivated and inspired. And then it would come home and it would be hard for the practice to keep going. And this is what's known as the retreat bubble. So maybe you've been on a retreat before, and maybe you've experienced even like a yoga retreat or another kind of retreat. You've experienced that everything can go so well when you're in the right circumstances, but then that challenge of really integrating it into your daily life. I also developed a practice with acupuncture where I use meditation in each of my treatments with people. And I found that was really where the magic was. So I began to explore teaching meditation and offering that a little bit more, and doing some certification to get certified to teach meditation and mindfulness. And here we are. And I offer lots of different things. I'll tell you that at some point, but I love offering this one twice a year for free. I'm going to do a tiny little, oh gosh, let's see, where so many screens open. I should have closed them down. Let me find the right screen, and then I'm going to share a tiny little presentation for you. Sorry, bear with me for my own. Here we go. There it is. Okay. So here we go. This is, hopefully you can all see this in a moment. Just takes a minute. There we go. Path to Presence Retreat. So I just mentioned the retreat bubble. The retreat we're in today is really to pop this retreat bubble, to find a way to integrate this experience of a retreat into your daily life and to really look more closely at how to integrate it. And so because we really want to be able to show up consistently in our practice when things are good and when things are bad, that's when we really get the most benefit out of our practice, is when we're able to show up for ourselves when there's difficulty as well. And that's usually when the practice kind of goes out the window. So the three main reasons why it's hard to make a meditation practice stick are expectations about meditation that might not be realistic, and that's what we're going to cover today, or unrealistic expectations about yourself, and a lot of self-compassion pieces, as well as these overcoming limiting beliefs. Those second two we're going to cover more tomorrow when we do a deeper dive into self-compassion. But one of the main reasons that I mentioned that we're going to start with are these unrealistic expectations about meditation. When you're expecting something and it's not happening, you might not continue to show up in your practice that way. So, and a lot of these myths about meditation can be quite insidious. And I'm going to list a few, but this is really only a few. In fact, if you have some that you've noticed in your practice, especially if you are someone who's practicing for a while, feel free to add more to my list here. But there are lots of myths about how to meditate, like you have to do it in the morning, you have to sit cross-legged on the floor to meditate, you have to close your eyes. In fact, we'll do an open-eyed meditation later, I think on day 3. If you think too much, it doesn't count. If you fall asleep, you didn't do it right. And then there are myths about who can meditate, like you have to feel calm, you have to be calm already. Or it might be that you have to be stressed already. You can't have ADHD or noisy monkey mind, or that you must be religious or Buddhist or spiritual. Certainly meditation comes from Buddhism. You have to give a nod to its origins, but a lot of how the practice can be used is often secular or more in the mindfulness vein as well. Or you have to be good at sitting still and being silent. It has to be something you can already do. This is one of the myths. Myths about the results of meditation, a little bit trickier sometimes, these ones. The idea that if you show up to your meditation practice in time, it might teach you to feel nothing. Or that it's going to be relaxing and make you happy and calm. Or that it's going to change who you are. or that meditation is always profound and it always makes you feel better. So some of these might be, there's a little grain of truth to some of these, but it's going to be a frustrating experience for you if you're like, why can I still feel things? Or why am I not happy and calm and relaxed? Why have there been no big changes? Especially this is a more of a long-term, how your practice is sustained. So today we're going to look at these 5 big myths about meditation. And we'll go through them a little bit right now. So meditation is pure void and emptiness. This is probably one of the more common ones for those who haven't been practicing for too long. The idea that if you can take the time to meditate, this is what you'll encounter. Blank, nothing, space, maybe pure silence. But can you really silence your monkey mind? Nope. I see some no's in Zoom land here. Usually what we're aiming to do here is to notice, to acknowledge, to recognize, and perhaps befriend the monkey mind through our practice. And similarly to the first myth, meditation is pure bliss and enlightenment. This one will get pretty frustrating and disappointing pretty quickly because the goal, while we might have moments of bliss, we might have moments of deep insight or profound experience or enlightenment, it's really not about the profound. It's about taking the space to be with things and be with yourself just as they are. And we're not always in a state of pure bliss and enlightenment. And meditation makes you lazy and selfish. This is kind of an unusual and fun one. Sometimes people are resistant to meditating often because they're worried it seems self-indulgent in some way. In fact, a lot of research has been done on meditation and the effects of it in the brain, in the body, in our lives over the last several years. And the research typically shows that it helps you to focus better and getting things done, right? Not being lazy in that way, but also to develop a better relationship with yourself and with others. Okay, and then of course, this one, there's only one right way to meditate, which we already kind of covered a little bit, and I'll be reminding you of this one a little bit as we go. And then this idea that meditation is easy. It is kind of simple in a way, but it's not always easy. And having the idea that meditation is simple, but not necessarily easy is a good thing to bear in mind because some struggles and obstacles do come up, especially as you're practicing long term, right? And so we need to have an awareness on our practice, awareness of your practice as a habit, awareness of what's going on in your practice. And that's part of why I teach the retreat. So there's a lot of different benefits of meditation. I mentioned there's been research that shows some physiological health benefits, relaxing the nervous system, quieting that sympathetic fight or flight or freeze nervous system, activating the parasympathetic nervous system, decreasing low blood pressure, lowering heart rate, strengthening the immune system, preserving the aging brain and improving memory. There's research that shows it helps with the telomeres, the ends of chromosomes, sexual, many physiological changes that can happen with the consistent practice. Regulating hormones, cortisol, blood sugar levels, reducing chronic pain, and then these less physiological ones that I have listed here as well. So we want to take a moment and start to tailor. This is not a one size fits all practice. So you want to tailor the practice. And we're going to begin with the question of why. What is your goal? What are you hoping to achieve through developing a regular meditation practice? Where is this path to presence leading for you? So this is an opportunity to consider what brought you to this path. What's your intention? And this can be different for everyone. So, and that's really, spoiler alert, that's the homework question for today as well. I'm going to be quoting a little bit from this book here that I like from, I should still learn how to pronounce this guy's name, Giovanni Dienstmann, could be Dienstmann, I think it's Dienstmann, Mindful Self-Discipline, not specifically for meditation, but really applicable to meditation. And he says that your aspiration is the reason you are starting the journey in the first place. Without it, self-discipline becomes difficult at best, if not outright meaningless. And he also gives a definition for self-discipline as the continuous application of self-awareness and willpower over time for the purpose of living in accordance with your higher values and choosing behaviors that are in harmony with your long-term goals. So it's important to ask why you are here today, why you want to develop meditation practice, so you can discover your aspirations, which is like the spark and fuel for this journey. Another quote from Nietzsche, who says, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." And how will be the last day, day 5. So we want to really make it personally relevant here. And these are the questions that we will be asking over the course of the retreat. Continue with a brief overview. Today we'll be looking at why. Tomorrow we'll be looking at when and the timing, another really tricky aspect. On the third day, we'll be looking at where and the importance of having visual cues and other kinds of cues to enforce the practice as a habit, as well as providing more meaning for you. On the fourth day, we'll be looking at who and the importance of identity, especially in maintaining the habit. And the last one will be the question people usually ask first is, how do I meditate, especially if you're new to the practice? So we'll be looking at some of the different techniques and some practical tips on how to grow your practice in a slow and steady kind of sustainable way. And then, of course, here are the bonus days. All right, I think that's it for that. So a little bit more on thinking about why. One of the exercises that my friend Giovanni, I'm just going to call him Giovanni since I can't pronounce his last name, Dienstmann, right? Does that sound right? One of my exercises that Giovanni offers is called the 5-fold why exercise. And this is basically where you continue to ask why. You ask why, you get an answer, you ask why on that. You might do that 5 times to get deeper into finding the root cause, the root aspiration for the original goal. So for example, why do I want to meditate? It might be because I want to be less stressed, less reactive. Why do I want to be less stressed and reactive? Because I want to be able to respond and have the freedom to make choices. Why do I want to respond and have the freedom to make choices? Because I want to be present and enjoy my life and provide support to the people and things that I love. So you can kind of go a little deeper, and I encourage you to try that if it isn't obvious, or maybe it is obvious and you can go a little deeper and see what else is in there. It also can work in reverse as well. If you have some ideas, you might kind of go back and get you might have a very specific idea and you could get a broader sense as well. All right, so once you've found your why, we want to prioritize your aspirations by dedicating your resources like time, energy, money, things like this. So time we'll be looking at tomorrow in day 2, how to set that up. Energy we'll be looking at a little more in day 3 in terms of creating an environment that supports your attention. And money includes getting the tools and mentors you need. That'll be part of day 4 and 5, how you can find more support to maintain the practice as well. You know, because building it is one part, maintenance is another part, and I want to work on that as well. Okay, I think we're ready to do meditation practice. Let me check about questions for a moment to see if there are any. Sandy's just saying that she likes that 5-fold exercise. Yeah, it's been really helpful. It's actually part of how I kind of got into some of the teachings for the retreat as well. You know, why can't I make a meditation practice stick? What are those challenges? So now we're going to sit and do a little practice. And here's another question coming in. What is your biggest tip for people who say they can't because their mind is too busy? Biggest tip. Let me think about some tips. I mean, obviously, recognizing that busy mind is okay. Monkey mind, busy mind it's human nature. It's part of who we are. And so to work with that expectation that meditation should be a stop to that, I think is a good starting place, truly. But we'll be doing some practices later on in the retreat as well all of these practices can help, right? Directing your focus away from the mind, but also turning towards the mind and working really on that self-compassion piece and that kind attention, that quality of presence that you can bring to the mind. Because a lot of times it can feel like there's a kind of battle happening right there. So I'd say one, working with that expectation that it's remembering that it's okay to have a busy mind. I always say the mind secretes thoughts like the mouth secretes saliva. It's just a natural functioning of who we are. And, through meditation, through showing up, focusing, using concentration techniques, like we'll do a little bit of, you kind of strengthen the ability to shift your attention, and that can help. And then really bringing that self-compassion piece to any inner critic that's like, your mind is too busy, right? So probably I would say those three are what come to mind. Please feel free to ask again if that doesn't answer your question, especially by the end of the retreat. Right, so we're going to sit and do a short practice. Today's practice is going to be sort of a foundational practice of mindfulness in the breath and the body. And usually people who join in on the retreat are of all different levels. And if you've been practicing for a while, bringing that beginner's mind, that curiosity and freshness to what you're doing, even if it's kind of a practice that's that foundation. So let's go ahead and just settle in, find a comfortable position. You don't have to be cross-legged on the floor. Sitting in a chair, sitting in any way. You can lie down if you want to, any way that supports what your body needs right now. Blocks, blankets, any props that might be helpful. Just take a moment to come into that position. And you might close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or you can leave them open with a soft gaze. We're just going to take a little while to touch in, to land in the present, to land in the body. And as the meditation teacher Joseph Goldstein says, and I often like to start with this, sit and know you're sitting. Just become aware of your whole body sitting or lying down. Inviting the body and mind to soften. Inviting yourself to arrive right here. Letting the past remain in the past. Letting the future remain in the future. You might take a moment to just direct your attention to touch points, points of contact between your body and something else. Bring your awareness down to your feet, your legs, parts of you that are in contact with the ground. And just notice any sensations in these points of contact. Noticing if it feels hard or soft, where you're in touch, where you're in contact with the ground. Notice sensations in your feet or legs, buzzing or tingling, warmth, coolness. Maybe you notice gravity and the pressure of sitting. Noticing the touch point by your pelvis, feeling those sit bones in contact with your seat, chair, the cushion, even if you're lying down. As you start to connect into the body, you might also become aware of the breath. I might argue that the body is still in meditation. Could perhaps be another myth. We bring a certain amount of stillness into the body, and then we start to tune into the movement that's happening within. The breath flowing, the heart pumping, the thoughts and feelings and sensations that tend to swirl around. Just allow all of these things that are already there to be there. And as you let your awareness include the flow of breath, just letting the breath be natural. Maybe you notice the whole body breathing. Maybe you notice the breath where the connection is easy in one part of your body. It might be the flow in and out of the nostrils. Feel that air exiting and entering. Noticing the sensations of the breath entering. Warm or cool, hitting the back of the throat, perhaps. Inviting everything else to soften and let your attention just focus on the breath entering and exiting for a moment. Following the breath a little deeper into the body. Maybe you notice the rise and fall of your chest. Notice any sensations in this heart space as the breath flows through. And if you find it difficult to connect to the breath at any point, you're welcome to take your hand and place it on your body, placing it on your heart or your belly, getting in touch with how the body gently moves with each breath. And can you feel the breath flowing through the back of the heart, the space between the shoulder blades? And we tend to be very focused on the front of the body, this forward-leaning aspects of culture that are always on our phones and computers and looking to what's next and being efficient. Let yourself notice all parts, the back, the sides. Become aware of your rib cage, gently opening and closing. Notice how each inhale might open up the spaces between your ribs. Letting the breath deepen a little more, and notice the rise and fall in the belly. And the back of the belly, the low back. Can you feel the breath? You can always take your hand and place it anywhere it's difficult to feel with, and notice the movement, getting that tactile feedback. Letting the breath flow all the way down, pouring into you like water, filling up the pelvic bowl. Notice once again the whole body breathing. It's very gentle, slow inflating and deflating like a balloon. If you've had your hand on your body, you can very slowly lift it carefully off the body and return it to your lap or legs or wherever it's comfortable. And in these few minutes while we've been sitting together, no doubt your mind has wandered. This is the nature of the mind. The mind is like a curious puppy who just can't help itself. Can you bring the same kind attention that you would when training a puppy to gently lead your mind back? This won't be a one-time deal. It's many times when we sit to meditate. We notice the wandering mind. We gently bring it back to this moment, becoming aware once more of the breath in your body, the feet, the pelvis on the ground. And this opportunity, this invitation to simply rest into each moment, each breath, exactly as it is. When the mind wanders, leading it back gently. What are you noticing in this moment, in this breath? As we finish this first meditation for today, pause and notice how you feel now. As you start to come out of the practice, getting into the habit of pausing, noticing how you feel now, again, without the expectation that we solved all of the world's problems in the last 5 minutes, or you feel amazing. Just noticing how you feel now. And then opening your eyes if they've been closed, including awareness of the space around you, moving your body if you need to. So as I mentioned, it's kind of a fundamental skill, a real starting place in meditation of this awareness of the breath and the body that we worked on just now, but one that, I start many meditations in my own practice with this little moment of awareness, and something you can return to again and again, and something that's always available to you, the breath and the body, and how to start training the puppy and cultivating that kind awareness. We'll be doing a lot more on kindness and self-compassion tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll be looking at how to set the timing for your practice. And also that self-compassion piece, other reasons why it can be hard to show up and have the practice stick. And the homework question for today, which is also listed in the workbook, but I'll put on the Facebook group too, is to please share your discoveries about why. What is your reason? What's your aspiration on why you want to build a meditation practice and why you're here in the retreat? And, what the benefits are that you're seeking, what motivates you, all those kinds of things. And I encourage you to do the homework, not only to get the giveaway, but to build community, accountability, and motivation, right? I'm always amazed, it's only 5 days and it's free. Who knows who could be here? But I'm always amazed that after 5 days, you actually do develop a sense of community. And part of that is if you're doing that work. Now, if you're not interested in Facebook at all, which is totally fine, and I know that doesn't always support mindfulness, so you can email me your answer to the homework, and I can post it for everyone, and I'll share some of the answers for the homework as well as we go. So if you're not even part of the Facebook piece, you can still get that sense of community and be an important part of the retreat that we're having together. And also to engage deeper and to do the work to tailor the practice to make it more your own. That's everything for today. If you have any questions, reach out. Otherwise, I will be here tomorrow morning. Let me just check and see if there are any questions or comments over here. Sometimes Facebook doesn't do it until later, but we'll see how it goes. All right. Oh, thank you. Sandy says you are a master. That's very kind. All right. And if you can't, last thing, if you can't join in live tomorrow or another day, the replays are available, right? They'll be inside the Facebook group, inside Guide 4. Guide 5 is where you can put your questions for the homework. I'm going to post it right now. Or through email, I will send you a link to the replay as well. So everyone have a lovely day. Excited to see you all tomorrow. Oh, some kind of weird. There we go. Notification. Okay. Stop the